Hi, this is HMTV DJ Dina, host of HMTV Canada E-Zine. On the phone with me today is special guest Malicious Damage. Tony, hi, how are you?
Hi, how you doing, Artina? I'm doing great.
First of all, I want to give a shout out to Jesus Bones 69. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't found out about this awesome band.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, Jesus Bones, he rules.
For sure he does. He's got a great sense of humor about him.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He just happened to, I guess he was surfing on the MySpace and he found us. And he started corresponding with me. And I've known him ever since, I guess, we started the MySpace account back in 2005.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the band's damage plan for 2008? Any the new material or videos in the works?
Yeah, right now we're in the studio. We're currently in our favorite studio, Eclectic Larryland in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We're recording our next release. It's going to be entitled, as of right now, it's going to be entitled Apostles of the Apocalypse. A release before we're going to release this one. Oh, excuse me, I'll repeat myself. And that's entitled Sickness Amongst the Pure. We released that in September of 2007, and we have that out now for quite a bit, so we decided to go back in the studio because we have all this material that we just keep writing and writing and writing. So we just want to keep releasing.
That's awesome, because every time I come to your MySpace page, I hear something new, and I'm like, this band blows my mind. It's awesome what I'm hearing.
Well, thank you.
Oh, for sure. Can you tell me if you have any tours planned to promote your recent release and Sickest Among the Pure?
As of right now, we have some things lined up for the summer. We're trying to get plans together as of right now, but we're also in the studio, so we're kind of putting all of our energy towards that right now. But as soon as we get done with that, I think we're going to put more effort into touring and stuff, and so then we can play both CDs when we play live. Well, actually, this is our fourth release, but I really love Sickness Amongst the Pure, and the new one is going to even blow that one away even more. I sent you a little MP3, a little song off the new album. Do you tell the kind of style that we're trying to go for with that?
That was Global Enslavement. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's really fresh. That's actually, you're probably the first person to get that copy, actually. I finished mixing that down, I think it was like, when was it, like Monday? Yeah, we just, like, at the beginning of this week, we just finished mixing down and everything. We'll master everything. We're going to finish and wait until we mix down the whole album, then we're going to master it after that. Global
Enslavement was the one I played on our intro for our interview. That's awesome. I like the sounding that's coming from that. There's so much energy that went into that, making that.
Yeah, there is a lot of energy in the new release we're putting out. Sickness Amongst the Pure, that was more or less based around a family member who died. And my father recently passed away from cancer, a long bout with cancer, and that was kind of sentimental for me, that release. So with this new one, though, we're just going for the jugular with this.
Sorry to hear about your father dying. That's
Yeah. He's had a long bout with cancer, and I guess a lot of demons inside of me that had to come out, and a lot of feelings and stuff to get, part closure with that. So try to move on with my life. So that's where that came from, that release, kind of.
I mean, yeah, a lot of energy has come out of those songs and the new release as well.
Yeah, we very...
Can you tell us about Sickest Among the Pure? Anything from messages to inspirations to the biggest challenges to producing the CD?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, the inspiration was strictly, family related. My father passed away along with his grandfather. His father passed away around the same time my father did. And the title song for Sickness, Bear This Cross, we had like ideas, like how can we get the message out about our family members dying, and kind of get our feelings out in a song. And that's where that inspiration came from with that. The production value on it, we spent a lot of time on it and stuff. So what was your question you had? I'm sorry, you asked me a couple.
The biggest challenges to producing Sickest Among the Pure.
Yeah, the challenges were just a lot of hours spent in the studio. I spent a lot of time sleeping on the smelly studio couch,
Oh.
That wasn't, but it was a lot of learning in that process. We had a lot more freedom in the studio. The people that we work with in the studio, they give us a lot of freedom to do whatever we want. There are little, time frames we have to work within, within their schedule and everything. But it's very open into like really, as far as creativity and stuff, it's not like stifling and everything or too much pressure. It's very positive environment to work in, and a lot of times sometimes we go in the studio, we write in the studio. A lot of bands really don't have freedom, and that's why I think a lot of bands really don't put out a lot of releases all the time. We're trying to average a release a year, one release a year. But we'll see where it takes us.
That's an awesome goal to have. So when all the band members are together, what's a typical day like in the studio?
Everybody, I like to say clock in, but we all clock in around a certain time, and then we just go over the itinerary of what we gotta get out at that day. What we have to produce, what kind of things we're trying to get across. I go in there with a basic structure of a song. I home demo tapes and stuff, and I give them to the other members of the band, and we all get together and we all say, okay, let's do this, let's do that, and at the end we basically give it all to Josh, our singer, and he writes all the lyrics to it. And when we go in the studio and we record everything, we really don't hear the lyrics. We don't go knowing what the lyrics are until what Josh starts singing to, and then after he starts singing and we listen to it and stuff, we're like, oh my God, we're like blown away from the stuff. He is probably the best singer I've ever worked with in my whole entire life. He can go in the studio and just lay track after track after track after track and not even blow out his voice at all on the first takes and everything. I'm not just saying this. I'm serious about this. He is unbelievable when it comes to laying out vocal parts and singing and stuff.
Wow. From the new material that you're putting out and from Sickest Among the Pure, how does that differ from your previous CD, Fallen Kingdom?
Fallen Kingdom, that was a couple years ago. I remember that too. That was just when we started getting into swing of things. We put out a CD before that, which was Scorched Earth Policy. That when we said that, we were just starting to gel back together as a band. But when we put Fallen Kingdom, we had a little better idea of what we were doing, but not as clear as when we went in there with Sickness. Sickness was definitely a turning point for us as far as learning everything in the studio and working with great people and having people understand what we want to try and get across. Fallen Kingdom, we went in there with a lot of speed. I remember that. Not speed as far as drugs or anything, but speed orientated as far as just like trying to get angry riffs out and everything. With Sickness, it was a little bit more, we try to get a little bit more diversity into it. Now, Malicious Damage, we've always had a lot of facets to the sides of Malicious Damage. It's just, we're not just one plain view. We try and get different angles and try and portray different like stories and stuff, and try and just tell different sides of things. We always try and cover all the bases as far as what we're trying to get out, I guess.
Why the unique name Malicious Damage?
Oh, that goes way back. The band we first started in '87. I was just a few years out of high school. Our drummer, Alan Whitney, at the time, I haven't seen him in, I don't know how long, since about 1990. That's a long time, almost 20 years I haven't seen on the original drummer that we had. And he used to live down the street from me, and I was in a band, let me back it up a little bit. I was in a band before that called Rugged Edge back in the mid-'80s. And all of us lived in the same neighborhood. Well, when I was in that band, I had a bunch of other friends that wanted to get in another band together with me. And we were all friends for the longest time. And Alan just started playing drums. And we were all basically just jamming in a garage. And we said, this sounds pretty good. Let's try and see what we could do with this. And we stumbled across all kinds of names. Nothing would stick at all. And we just read the newspaper one day, and we came across these words that were in the newspaper. The words malicious and the other words damage, and we just put them together, and it just kind of really fit. It was like, wow, malicious damage. And then it wasn't until years later, we realized that there was, I guess, a record label in England with the same name, and we're like, wow, it kind of bites, but they really don't put out the same type of music that we do. We've talked to them. The owner's name is Bob Cole, and he's a really great guy. But they put out more industrial type stuff and electronica, and we've always wondered, with the name Malicious Damage, we've always tried to catch the meat of the name in the matter, try and get all the oomph out of it,
Yeah, with the metal sound to it, Malicious Damage suits your band.
Yeah,
it's a perfect fit.
It really is.
Okay, how has your music evolved or changed since the band first started playing together?
Oh, okay. Like I said earlier, we're all friends. We all lived in the same neighborhood. And when Malicious Damage first started together, we were just jamming and blues and stuff before we even had the name of the band, just to kind of get a groove of where everybody was from, as far as like what we're able to do together as a unit. And so we're just jamming blues riffs and stuff. And then after just jamming that for a while, then we started getting into more hardcore. So we went from like blues to like hardcore punk. And we released one, at that time we released a demo back in '89. It's called Cursed Beyond Pain. It was a little 4-track cassette, and that's floating around. That is really rare, but that tape, you can definitely catch the hardcore punk side of Malicious Damage. And so that's kind of where we developed from. After that, we just kept trying to get harder and faster, until we are where you heard Global Enslavement.
So you're more metal-based now than you are punk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. We in the beginning, we more or less tried to. Our first covers that we were doing, Malicious Damage, as far as covers, we were doing like Agnostic Front, Chromads, DRI, old English punk bands, believe it or not, English Dogs and stuff. We really got into punk and hardcore big time. I still do, but I try to involve it now in some of the riffs and some of the music that I write. I still try and sneak that in, but nobody really hears it now. Now they hear just all the metal and stuff. I like it just the same, but I try and sneak in everything that I can in there into one lump sum, I guess.
So you write about personal experiences in your music mainly, or do you touch base on other topics about life in your lyrics?
That would be Josh. Josh, our vocalist, he touches on everyday life, I would imagine. A lot of his lyrics that I read and I know, that's what I sum it up to, is everyday life and the consequences of doing this and not doing that, or where the roads are leading. Me, I'm just a guitar player. I just play guitar. I have no concept of lyrics in my head whatsoever. I can barely put my first and last name together. Yeah, it's weird. Me and lyrics, when I read good lyrics, I know they're good, and Josh really blows me away with a lot of lyrics that he writes,
Yeah, so he's able to get the anger out and what everybody's going through in the band out in a lyrical content. Really good.
Yeah, his lyrical content is really phenomenal. It really is.
Okay, the current lineup of band members are still the same in Malicious Damage, or have they changed?
Since we came back in 2005, they've all been the same. As far as when we first started, we lasted from 87 to 91. And at that point, we went through 2 drummers. Our second drummer is still with us now. Malicious Damage has only had 2 drummers in its whole existence. We've gone through 3 singers. This is our 3rd singer. Josh is our 3rd singer. We had Dave, he was our punk hardcore singer. I grew up with him. I went through high school, middle school with him, but I haven't seen him in about 20 years either, People disappear off the face of the planet, I guess.
Yeah, they seem to. And bands seem to go through so many members to find the perfect fit.
Yeah. As far as bass players, this is our 2nd bass player. We had Andy Unger. That was Big Bad Bass Bangin' Andy. I haven't seen him, once again, I haven't seen him in a long time either. We had Drew. Drew was, we actually had a Jamaican singer at one time in the band.
Cool.
Yeah. He actually put a lot of death metal into the band. that was our first really touch on death metal when Drew hooked up with us. After we had to let go Dave because of personal conflicts within the band. He was going one way, we wanted to go another way. And when we found Drew, we realized that it pretty much fit what Malicious Damage was, the style we were going for at that time. He lasted for a couple years until the band just imploded. Because we were going through a lot of turmoil at that time. We were all living in the same warehouse. We were getting on each other's nerves, basically. At that time, we were practicing 6 days a week.
Wow.
And just living together and practicing and just playing shows throughout this whole state of Florida. We played everywhere throughout this whole state. We've never left the state of Florida, actually, to play a show. So it would be kind of weird to do that. But that's all we did for the longest time. And then when we came back in 2005, we've kept the same lineup. I guess we're basically all on the same page now. And things are a lot different now than they were then. One, because we're all a little bit older. At least I am. I'm a lot older, so I understand what it takes to make a band succeed as far as being all on the same page and trying to be creative and all that.
So the current lineup now, the members, who are they?
The current members now, I play guitar. I do all the guitar work. Josh is our singer. He does all the vocals. Pat, our bass player, he lives out in West Broward. We see him every once in a while, usually just when we're writing. He's a free-spirited type of person. We know how to get hold of him if we need him. That's basically how that goes. Drummer Dave, since he's been with us, he lives in Panama City. That's about 10 hours from where I live. He lives at the panhandle of Florida. I live all the way in South Florida, and that's basically where Malicious Damage is our headquarters, is down here in South Florida. Now, the way we work with him is we just strictly record with him. He is not able to tour at the moment because he has other obligations in his life that he must take care of. And for him to be a positive person and to get ahead in life, he has to do what he has to do what he has to do, you know?
So do you send him stuff over the internet to record or mix?
Yeah, the way we do with that is I make a demo tape at home. I send it out to all the members of the band. They learn all the parts. Prior to going into the studio, we get together and we go through all the parts and stuff, and we, just to see how everything will sound. And once we get everything down, then we just head out to the studio and we work, basically, so I call it.
Yeah, that leads me to my next question. What's Malicious Damage plan or technique for putting sound quality and melody to their lyrical content?
We all get together. As far as me and Josh do most of the work together, Josh and me. We get together and we put together parts as far as riffs and stuff, because ultimately the vocals do have to go with the guitar parts and the rest of the music. So when him and me, when we get together, we go through a bunch of parts and I bounce parts off him and he goes, yeah, stick with that, let's work with that, blah, 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 blah. And, we compose together like that. Then when that's all done, we just, like I said, we just practice a little bit and we go in the studio. You
like to try new things when it comes to sound?
Oh, yes. I am stuck on the technology train, I guess you'd call it. Whatever. I know I'll never catch up to technology. I'll always be behind it, but I try and run as fast as I can up and catch up with it.
Have you ever made a boo-boo or a mistake in recording and decided that you like it and you want to go with it?
Sometimes. It depends on how minor the mistake is, or if it is minor, how it will blend with the rest of the song and the rest of the tones and stuff. Most times, though, if it's really bad, we try and just do it over. We don't have a problem with this, trying to fix our mistakes. We're not perfectionists as far as nitpicking and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Some of them find mistakes and decide, hey, I like that sound, want to go with it.
Yeah, a little bit. Sometimes it depends.
What's the band's ideals or criteria for a well-engineered or mixed song?
I guess everything has to be balanced. As far as the drums, we try and mix it where you're looking at the band. If the band was up on stage, you have to have the guitars, I guess, pan left and right, your drums up the middle, your bass, has to be dead center, and along with your vocals, and your vocals cannot be buried, I guess, but the guitars still have to be there, but they can't be really drowning out the drums too bad. everything has to basically have a good balance and a good mix, and when it happens, you can hear it. Everything locks together, and it'll grab you. It's like, whoa, okay, let's stick with that right there.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool that you're able to pick that out and plan it the way you want it to bring out that awesome sound, because your music is awesome.
Oh, well, thank you very much. We try very hard. I've been doing a lot of learning, too. Thanks to the people in the studio that I work with who teach me a lot of things as far as frequencies and overlap and certain, phases and cancellations, and it's pretty intriguing. I learn a lot.
Who completes Malicious Damage art for their cover CDs? Because the artwork is freaking awesome.
Oh, you like the artwork?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you like that? For the CD, we're changing artists. Although the new CD, we all love the artwork. We fell in love with it as soon as we saw it. The other artwork, when we did Scorched Earth Policy, that was actually from that whole CD album cover is actually a flyer that we did back in the late '80s. That's actually one of the first flyers Malicious Damage ever did for a show. We touched it up a little bit. We tried to put it on the computer and stuff, and make an album cover out of it and add a little bit of colors to it. But yeah, that has been around for ages, and we just decided to use it in 2005. Fallen Kingdom and Sickness Amongst the Pure. At that time, we were strapped for artwork. We had no artwork. We had nobody that was any for us. We put out all kinds of bulletins, all looking for artists, and nobody wanted to do anything for us. So we ended up scouring the planet and the internet, and we came across this Polish artist who lives in Poland. I think he lives in Krakow, Poland, or something like that. And his artwork was like really what Malicious Damage was really about. As soon as we got his artwork, we knew we had to have it for our music and stuff and our CDs. So we ended up talking with him and stuff, and all agreed that, hey, let's do something. So we had to deal with 2 CDs for him, and he did our 2 CDs, and phenomenal artwork. They exactly portray what I guess Malicious Damage was at the time. For each CD, we try and grab a piece of time and represent that moment in time for each CD. That's why I guess they vary in their sound and the structures, along with the artwork too. As far as our logos keep changing. Everything. It's a continuous changing process that I guess the band is trying to go through, and we'll see where it takes us and stuff.
Well, I know if we're to rearrange the CD shelves on the stores, that would stick out, your artwork for sure. And when people stop by and it'll catch their eye, they're going to want to buy it.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to think that too. That always does help.
Well, I work in retail because I know a good design, and that's awesome. That I would buy it.
Oh, gee, thank you. Yes, actually the Sickness album cover, I guess that would represent just the form of cancer in itself. I look at that, and I kind of see my father and the sickness that he was going through, and just living life like that. It was really bad. So in that aspect, it really caught me. I got everybody else in the band. I guess it hits home with them too, because it strikes everybody that sees it. They see something in it. They're like, wow, I really like that. And they all say, well, check this out.
That's true, they do. Because it really sticks out at you like a sore thumb.
Yeah. Nobody else has artwork like that out now.
No, they don't. That's true.
Yeah.
Where can fans request Malicious Damage music, on internet or mainstream radio?
The internet, that's a great way to get stuff out nowadays. I wish we would have had that 20 years ago. The stuff that is out as far as internet radio and stuff like that, and mainstream, I'd rather internet radio. I like pirate stations too. The pirate radio station, underground radio.
Like my college radio in my broadcasting class.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
Pirate radio?
I call it pirate radio. Well, as students, we got to put in work hours, and we have to go in on like real-time work placements at the school, and we have to do our broadcasting. So I spin my interviews, and I spin underground songs that the new fans are listening to.
Yeah, that I love pirate stations. We used to have one down here. This guy used to go, I guess, around on a Winnebago bus with an antenna and just broadcast. And the local radio stations down here, they really don't like that because that takes away their listeners. Because we only have, as far as rock and classic rock, that's the only option we have down here as far as mainstream radio, is we have 93.1, which is just, run-of-the-mill album, whatever, commercial rock, whatever you want to call it. I can't listen to it. I really can't. It gets me sick. Then we have the classic rock station, which is 105.9. I really don't know the call letters for that. But that's all we have, and they're owned by Clear Channel, and they just play the same, 5 songs over and over and over. So I constantly try and seek out, stations that play killer music. And at one time, there was this, like I said, we had this one guy with an antenna. He was around for a few months, and the FCC or somebody caught up with him and just totally shut him down. But he was kicking butt all over the place.
See, a lot of the universities up here in Canada and a lot of the colleges do play the underground music, the bands that are unsigned and undiscovered.
Yeah, that's great. They don't have that down here. I don't know why. I have not a clue.
But when the universities or other universities, like say in my class, want to spin my interviews, the school won't let them because they're taken away from what we're putting out as a, from school.
Why do people get scared like that? It's just more music. If you'll have your fan base, and if anything, you'll create more listeners for other genres or whatever. You'll build a musical crowd. If anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
How about CDs? Where can the fans access to buy Malicious Damage goods?
On our internet site through MySpace, which is www.myspace.com/maliciousdamage, or our official website, which is maliciousdamage.net. All of our products can be had through those, or we can also be purchased through CD Baby. CD Baby carries all of our stuff. They cover a wide range. You can get CD Baby, I guess, anywhere, really. Though, if you can order it, you can even go to your local record store, I would imagine, and they can order it through CD Baby.
Do you have merchandise like hoodies, T-shirts, cover art, posters?
Yes, we do. We have T-shirts and CDs, everything, hoodies, everything.
Cool. I'm going to definitely check into that and get myself a copy. Get myself a hoodie, too.
Yeah.
What's your opinion of the music industry today, and what would you like to see change?
As far as the music industry, yes, it is definitely changed just because of the internet alone. The internet is a very powerful tool as far as getting stuff and information out there. As far as changing, I don't know. Since we've gotten with ourselves, we tried to send out CDs to all the labels and stuff, but nobody even wants a piece of us. Nobody wants anything to do with us. I have not a clue why. We've sent out 1 million tapes ever since '87. The hundreds of dollars that I've sent in postage just to send CDs and tapes out, and never hear anything back from anybody.
Wow.
That totally perplexes me. Why you can send all of your music that you spent a long time writing from the soul, and you send it out to labels and stuff, and they never get back to you. And yet you find all these really bad bands that get signed left and right. I have not a clue how that happens, why that happens, who's involved in letting that happen. Not a clue. As far as changing, I try not to get in. I've gotten to the point where I don't even follow record labels anymore because I know they don't want any part of me or anything to do with me. So I just, as far as changing, they can change all they want. I don't care, let them change. But I know in the end, I'm still going to get my music out there no matter what, even if a record company does not want any part to do with it.
Well, digital downloads is the way that most bands are going, and they're making the money.
Yeah, yes, through CD Baby and stuff, we made a couple dollars, nothing to write home about, nothing to retire on, but, we made a little bit of money on digital downloads, and it really does surprise me. That is the way to go nowadays. It really is.
A lot of the kids want it for their iPods and MP3 players.
Yes, yes. Now with the MP3 players and the iPods, in a way, the music suffers because you have to compress the songs down to a certain file size just so you can hear them on your iPod. Mm-hmm. What that does in turn is it takes away from the song. The MP3s, oh my God, it tears up the music big time. It takes what you worked so hard to try and accomplish and mix and master and everything, and you just like shredding it up when you put it on one of those things. It's crazy how files have to compact to be put on certain things.
That's why some of the bands are going back to analog and they're going back to vinyl.
Yeah, the vinyl. Mm-hmm. The vinyl now, you can only put, I guess, a certain amount of frequency on one of those records, you know, because if you put too much bass or anything, then the walls of the vinyl become like too thin and stuff, and it's crazy. I did a little bit of research on vinyl because we wanted to put a little bit of stuff out on vinyl too, ourselves. And so I did a little bit of research. That's another crazy area is the vinyl.
Well, if you want to do any live recordings, it's probably perfect for that.
Yeah.
Have you heard about our Hollywood Music TV site?
Oh, yes, I have. When I first started on the internet back in 2000, Malicious Damage, when I started setting stuff up on MySpace, Hollywood Music TV was actually one of the first places I came across.
How do you like our music site?
Killer. We actually have a profile on your site.
I think I checked that out the other day. Yeah. So it's www.hollywoodmusic.tv/malicious damage, right?
I think it would be.
Yeah.
It's been there in a while.
You're going to have to come back and update your profile.
Yes. That's one thing I am bad about is updating profiles and stuff. I got to get better with that, I guess.
Before we wrap up our interview, do you have any shout-outs or any last words?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the people that really did Malicious Damage. We're going to be putting out some new material in August or September. As personal shout-out, I'd like to shout out my wife, who really supports me and everything. All my friends I've grown up with that I still... that's about it, I guess.
Okay. Thank you, Tony, for the opportunity of our HMTV E-Zine to cover and follow up on Malicious Damage. If it wasn't for Jesus Bones, like I said, I would have never discovered this awesome band. And I wanted to say I look forward to your new material and that you rock.
Excellent. Thank you, Tina. You do too. And thank you for everything. And tell Jesus Bones we said hello. And I'll probably talk to him. I'm sure he'll message me in a couple days.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, bye now.
Bye.